Joining me now is civil rights attorney Ben Crump. Attorney Crump, thank you very much for coming back to the Sunday Show.
Honored to be here with you again, Jonathan.
So we're just a few days out from the 1-year anniversary of the murder of George Floyd. What are your thoughts on this day?
You know, it's with a lot of emotion that we reflect on how George Floyd was taken from this earth, and just as important, the aftermath of that horrific, torturous death of George Floyd for 9 minutes and 29 seconds, and how it has finally had America start to have a conversation on racial reckoning, one that they've long tried to ignore, Jonathan Capehart.
Start to have a conversation on racial reckoning. There was a lot of flurry of activity in the days, weeks, months after the murder of George Floyd. But how concerned are you that that momentum is actually waning?
Well, you know, Jonathan, tragically, we all pray that George Floyd was the tipping point, that it would lead to a new precedent where we would see a reduction in these unjustified, unnecessary killings of Black people in America. However, we have been reminded repeatedly that we still have a long way to go. And so the real hope is that we will get the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act passed, so we will have more accountability when these officers engage in excessive use of force and kill marginalized people of color in America.
Speaking of the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, George Floyd's family and you will be going to the White House on Tuesday to meet with President Biden. Is one of the goals in that meeting to push the president, to push Congress, particularly the Senate, to get a deal done and get the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act passed?
Well, I know President Biden has talked with George Floyd's family several times since the tragedy happened, and I think he wants to concentrate on trying to add comfort to them on this 1-year anniversary. Obviously, we pray that he uses his influence to be able to pressure the Senate to do something meaningful in the name of George Floyd and these other families like Breonna Taylor and others, because their blood is on this legislation.
Attorney Crump, what has it meant to the Floyd family to have been in such close contact with the President of the United States?
You know, you try to make sure you understand the historical nature of the president calling you. You know, when the president called my cell phone after the verdict, when Derek Chauvin was found guilty, you know, we were very emotional at the time. And then it took my mother saying, you know, did the president have your cell number? How did he reach you? And it put it in perspective that this is the leader of the free world using his influence to say that this Black life matters, that Black lives matter. And so it is my belief that the George Floyd family, they understand how incredibly important this is, that the President of the United States is having dialogue with them, because he is saying that this is not just a Black issue, this is an American issue.
You know, Attorney Crump, you mentioned the trial of Derek Chauvin. He was found guilty in a trial that was put together by Minnesota State Attorney General Keith Ellison. On Friday, it was announced that Attorney General Keith Ellison will be leading the prosecution of, I think it's Kimberly Porter, the woman who shot and killed former police officer of Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, who shot and killed Daunte Wright. I believe Daunte Wright's family is a client of yours. Given the success of Keith Ellison in the Chauvin Chauvin trial. How confident are you that you will achieve the same level of justice for Daunte Wright in that trial?
Well, obviously, Attorney General Keith Ellison, the first African-American Attorney General in Minnesota's history, who has a track record for being a champion in civil rights, is somebody who comes to the task of being very focused on getting equal justice, so that when we say with liberty and justice for all, we're talking about all of us. We're talking about these black people who have been unjustly killed, whether it's George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Anthony McClain, Corey Jones, Botham Jean, all the way up into Daunte Wright. When you think about those people who did not get justice, you pray that in their states, they will have somebody like a Keith Ellison, somebody who is zealous about making sure that the Constitution is real for all Americans, not just some Americans. And you and I, Jonathan, have seen over time that prosecutors, when they are prosecuting police officers for killing black people, they don't always do it zealously. They're somewhat lukewarm. It's almost as if they don't want a conviction. And so that's not Keith Ellison.
Attorney Ben Crump, thank you very much for coming to the Sunday Show. And I just want to correct something that I said. The name of the officer, former officer, is Kimberly Potter. Once again, thank you very much, Attorney Crump.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Let's turn now to Melvin Carter, mayor of St. Paul, Minnesota, and Andrea Jenkins, vice president of the Minneapolis City Council. Thank you both very much for coming back to the Sunday Show. Andrea Jenkins, you are also the vice president of Minneapolis City Council, where George Floyd was killed, was in your district. Talk about what's changed in the past year.
Good morning, Jonathan. Good morning, Mayor Carter. I think we have really worked on creating, trying to create some significant changes. We have banned no-knock warrants. However, that still is occurring. We have banned chokeholds in this community. That is still occurring. We're working on really trying to get to the systemic roots of our some of our issues by changing our Minneapolis charter and creating a Department of Public Safety. We want to be able to, we have dedicated resources to community-based solutions to help. We've initiated a mental health response to challenges in our communities. So, we're trying to change the policies, but in my mind, Jonathan, we really need to be working on changing the attitudes and and really rooting out the systemic racism that I'm not sure policies actually get at.
If I remember correctly, Councilmember Jenkins, the whole mantra of defund the police came out of Minneapolis. There were a lot of calls saying, we should take money completely away from the Minneapolis Police Department and reconstitute it. Are some of the things that you just talked about, and I'm thinking specifically about the mental health things you talked about, but also the sort of Office of Public Safety, is that the response to the defund the police mantra, taking non-police related functions away from the police and giving them their own discrete areas?
Certainly, that is a part of it, and and those things take resources, and so we reallocated $8 million from the police department to begin those processes, and that work is continuing. And to be quite frank, Jonathan, that work had started prior to this. We have been moving resources away from the police department and really trying to set up different structures before George Floyd was murdered unjustly, and we will continue to do that.
Mayor Carter, How has the last year been for you in St. Paul in the year since the murder of George Floyd?
Good morning, Jonathan. Thanks for having me on. It has been traumatic for all of us. It has been very hard. It's been just one crisis after the next for us over the past year or so, with the combination of all of the events that happened after George Floyd's murder and, of course, the ongoing COVID crisis. We're fortunate here in St. Paul that what we're doing in response is continuing a body of work that started well before George Floyd was murdered. We changed our use of force policies in my first 100 days in our administration. And just this week, we closed a 48-member commission who has spent the last several months exploring alternative responses to police calls that are nonviolent, that are non-criminal, that are non-emergency, to ensure that we have the social workers and housing providers and things like that can help us actually get to the root of some of the challenges and help people get out of the cycles of crisis that they end up stuck in. And so we have been able to go all in to double down on a body of work that frankly started before that, because anyone who was surprised by the murder of George Floyd has probably not been listening and paying much attention to all of the events that have happened, not just over the last 10 years or so that have been caught on cell phone video, but over the last 100 years that my grandfather and his grandfather that could have told you about as well.